Most men never realize the moment they lose respect. It doesn't happen when she leaves. It doesn't happen when she stops replying. It happens much earlier. The moment a man starts chasing love instead of standing in his own worth. This video is not for men looking for tricks, lines, or emotional shortcuts. It is for men who are tired of trying harder and getting less. Tired of overthinking, overgiving, and overinvesting, only to feel invisible. If you've ever felt that the more you care, the less you're valued. You're not broken. You've just been taught the wrong rules. Stoic men understood something modern dating forgot. Respect comes before romance, and peace comes before passion. In the next few minutes, you'll hear truths most men avoid. Not to make you bitter, but to make you free. So don't watch this hoping to be chosen. Watch this to remember who you are. Welcome to the channel, Stoic Love Wisdom. This is where you will find valuable lessons and tips to help you build a truly lasting love. In today's video, we will explore Stop Chasing Love, how discerning men earn respect, with real stories and insight. Don't miss the advice that can change the way you perceive and live in love. You will definitely feel more comfortable when you find a quiet place and put on your headphones. Let yourself relax and be ready to receive the positive messages in today's video. Are you ready to start this journey? Let's start together. Part 1: Why Chasing Love Makes You Invisible. I didn't learn this lesson from books at first. I learned it from rejection, silence, and the quiet humiliation of waiting for replies that never came. For years, I believed what most men are taught, explicitly or indirectly. If you want love, you pursue it. If you care enough, she'll see your effort. If you give more, you'll be valued more. That belief cost me years of my life. The harder I chased love, the less respected I became. The more I explained myself, the less interesting I sounded. The more available I was, the more replaceable I felt. This is not bitterness. This is clarity. The hidden truth most men learn too late. A man who chases love teaches others how to treat him. When you constantly seek validation, affection, or reassurance from a woman, you communicate something without saying a word. My value depends on your response. And once that message is sent, respect quietly leaves the room. Women don't consciously plan this. It's not manipulation. It's nature. Respect flows towards strength, calm, and self-mastery, not emotional hunger. The Stoics understood this long before modern dating existed. Marcus Aurelius wrote that a man should never place his peace in something he cannot control. Love, especially another person's feelings, is exactly that. Why desire weakens when you over-pursue? Desire is born from space, not pressure. When you chase, you remove mystery. When you overgive, you remove tension. When you over-explain, you remove intrigue. A man who is constantly available sends a signal. I have nothing more important than you. And paradoxically, that makes him less important. Stoic men understand a brutal but freeing principle. Attraction is a byproduct, not a goal. The moment love becomes your mission, it stops flowing toward you. The Stoic perspective on love. Stoicism doesn't reject love. It rejects attachment to outcomes. Seneca warned that the quickest way to suffer is to cling to people, expectations, or fantasies. A Stoic man loves without losing himself. He desires without begging. He gives without draining his core. He does not chase because his life is already full. And fullness is magnetic. The trap of romantic idealism. Modern culture romanticizes pursuit. Movies show men proving their worth through persistence. Songs praise emotional obsession. But real life is different. Persistent pursuit rarely builds respect. It builds imbalance. One person becomes the prize. The other becomes the applicant. And no man thrives in that position. I've been there, crafting perfect messages, replaying conversations, wondering what I did wrong. What I did wrong was simple. I abandoned myself. Respect begins with self-containment. A Stoic man doesn't withdraw to punish. He withdraws to protect his center. He understands this core truth. You are not here to be chosen. You are here to choose. When you stop chasing love, you don't become cold. You become grounded. You stop reacting. You stop proving. You stop negotiating your worth. And something strange happens. People start leaning in. Why calm is more attractive than passion? Passion burns fast. Calm endures. A man who is emotionally regulated, purposeful, and self-directed creates safety. Not excitement fueled by chaos, but trust rooted in strength. Women sense this instantly. A Stoic man listens more than he speaks. He moves deliberately. He doesn't rush emotional intimacy. Not because he's afraid, but because he respects himself. And self-respect is contagious. Letting go is not giving up. This is where most men misunderstand Stoicism. Stopping the chase doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you stop needing. Neediness is the silent killer of attraction. The Stoic man still desires connection, love, intimacy. But he does not collapse without it. His life has structure. His values are non-negotiable. His mission does not pause for romance. Love is welcome, but not required for his identity. The first shift you must make. Before you can attract respect, you must stop asking, "How do I make her want me?" And start asking, "Am I living in a way that commands respect, regardless of who's watching?" This is the foundation. Everything else builds on it. In the next part, I'll show you how emotional independence changes the way women respond to you, without saying a word. Not tactics. Not games. But inner alignment. That's where real attraction begins. In love, sometimes we don't need too many promises, but just a little understanding and a heart that knows how to listen. It is the experiences, both happy and sad, that help us mature and know how to love more fully. Here, I want to contemplate those things with you, so that each step in the journey of love becomes more clear-headed and peaceful. If you feel that what I share is valuable, please click like to support this video. And if this is your first visit, please click subscribe and turn on the notification bell, so you don't miss the next insightful perspectives on love. I also really want to hear from you. What do you like most about today's story? Leave a comment below, because who knows, your experience might be a great source of encouragement for someone else who is listening. And now, let's continue to explore what's waiting for you. Part 2. Emotional Independence, the silent power that changes everything. There was a moment in my life when I realized something uncomfortable. I wasn't afraid of losing her. I was afraid of being alone with myself. That fear was invisible to others, but it shaped everything I did. The way I texted. The way I waited. The way my mood rose and fell depending on her attention. That is not love. That is emotional dependence. And nothing erodes respect faster than a man who cannot stand firmly in his own emotional ground. What emotional independence really means. Emotional independence does not mean emotional coldness. It means your inner state is not outsourced. Your peace does not depend on her replies, her approval, her consistency, her affection. You are emotionally self-contained. Epictetus taught that a man should concern himself only with what lies within his control. Your emotions are within your control. Her feelings are not. The moment you confuse the two, you lose power. Why emotionally dependent men lose respect. Let me be direct. An emotionally dependent man over-explains himself, over-apologizes, over-invests early, overthinks silence, overreacts to small changes. He becomes predictable, reactive, easily shaken. Not because he lacks value, but because he lacks emotional authority over himself. Women sense this instantly. Not logically. Instinctively. And when they sense it, attraction quietly fades. The Stoic man does not beg for emotional certainty. Most men chase certainty. Where do I stand with you? Do you still like me? Why didn't you text back? These questions are not evil. But asking them too early reveals fear. The Stoic man understands a difficult truth. Uncertainty is part of attraction. He does not rush to resolve tension. He does not force clarity before it's earned. He allows things to unfold, without clinging. That patience communicates strength. How emotional independence changes your presence. When you are emotionally independent, something subtle happens. Your tone slows down. Your words become fewer, but heavier. Your reactions soften. You stop chasing emotional highs and fearing emotional lows. You no longer need conversations to go well. You no longer need her to choose you. And because you don't need it, you become worthy of it. This is one of life's cruel ironies. The moment you stop needing validation is the moment you start receiving it. Calm is not boring, it's rare. In a world full of anxious men, calm stands out. Most men bring emotional noise. Nervous energy. Insecurity masked as humor. Intensity without direction. The Stoic man brings quiet confidence. He is not detached, he is grounded. He listens without waiting to impress. He responds instead of reacts. He is comfortable with pauses. Silence does not threaten him. And silence is powerful. Why women test emotional stability. Many men misunderstand tests. A woman pulling back. Being inconsistent. Withholding attention. This is not always manipulation. Often, it's instinctive evaluation. She is unconsciously asking. Does his center collapse when I step away? An emotionally dependent man panics. He chases. He demands reassurance. A Stoic man notices, and remains steady. Not cold. Not angry. Just unmoved. That response answers her question without words. Independence is built, not declared. You cannot fake emotional independence. It is built through a life with structure, purpose beyond romance, physical discipline, intellectual growth, time spent alone without distraction. A man who cannot sit alone with himself will always cling to others. Stoicism trains you to become your own anchor. When your life is full, love becomes an addition, not a necessity. The difference between desire and need. Desire says, I want you, but I am whole without you. Need says, I am incomplete without you. One invites respect. The other repels it. A Stoic man desires deeply, but never desperately. He does not collapse if someone leaves. He does not negotiate his standards to be chosen. He accepts loss with dignity. That dignity is unforgettable. The inner shift that changes everything. Here is the shift that separates men. Stop asking, how do I keep her? Start asking, how do I keep myself? Your values. Your rhythm. Your emotional center. When you protect these, love comes to you differently. Not loudly. Not dramatically. But with respect. In part 3, we will go deeper into a topic most men avoid. Boundaries, why saying less and walking away more increases attraction. Not as a tactic, but as a way of life. Part 3, Boundaries, why saying less and walking away more increases attraction. Most men think boundaries are about control. They're wrong. Boundaries are about self-respect. I didn't always understand this. I used to believe that being flexible, accommodating, and endlessly understanding made me a good man. What it really made me was easy to ignore. Because a man without boundaries teaches the world one lesson. You can take from me without consequence. Why men avoid boundaries? Men avoid boundaries for one reason: fear. Fear of conflict. Fear of loss. Fear of being misunderstood. So they tolerate behavior that quietly erodes their dignity. Inconsistency. Disrespect disguised as humor. Emotional hot and cold games. Broken promises explained away. Each time they stay silent, they pay a price. Not immediately, but internally. And women feel that internal collapse long before men admit it to themselves. The Stoic view of boundaries. Stoicism teaches that your character is your responsibility. Marcus Aurelius wrote that a man should never act against his own nature simply to please others. Boundaries are not ultimatums. They are standards lived quietly. A Stoic man does not threaten. He does not argue excessively. He does not explain his worth. He simply withdraws from what violates his values. And that silence speaks louder than confrontation ever could. Why saying less makes you stronger? Weak men talk too much. They explain. They justify. They negotiate their standards. Strong men do not need to convince. When a boundary is crossed, the Stoic man does not explode. He notices. He adjusts his access. Less availability. Less emotional investment. More distance. Not as punishment, but as alignment. He removes himself from what does not serve his peace. Walking away is the ultimate boundary. Nothing reveals strength faster than the ability to walk away. Not angrily. Not dramatically. Calmly. Most men threaten to leave. Very few actually can. Why? Because walking away requires something rare. A life that does not collapse without her. The Stoic man has that life. So when respect is missing, he doesn't argue for it. He leaves. And paradoxically, that is when respect often appears. Why boundaries create attraction? Boundaries create contrast. They say, I value my time. I do not chase what disrespects me. Access to me is earned. This creates polarity. A man with boundaries cannot be taken for granted. And what cannot be taken for granted is often desired. Women may not always like boundaries, but they feel safer around them. Because boundaries signal leadership over self. The cost of tolerating disrespect. Every time you tolerate what violates your values, you send a message to your nervous system. I am not worth protecting. That message becomes your posture. Your voice. Your presence. And once your presence weakens, attraction fades. Not because she is cruel. But because biology responds to strength. Respect is not demanded. It is demonstrated. Boundaries without anger. This is crucial. Anger reveals loss of control. Boundaries reveal self-mastery. A Stoic man does not raise his voice. He does not shame. He does not threaten. He simply becomes less available. Distance is not manipulation when it is honest. It is clarity. Why men talk themselves out of respect. Men often sabotage themselves by explaining too much. I just want you to understand. I didn't mean it that way. I'm not trying to be difficult. These phrases sound polite, but they shrink you. You do not need permission to respect yourself. The Stoic man lets his actions speak. And silence, when grounded, is commanding. Boundaries reveal the truth faster. When you set boundaries, one of two things happens. 1. She respects them, and attraction deepens. 2. She resists them, and the truth is revealed. Both outcomes are wins. Because clarity is always better than confusion. A man who avoids boundaries stays trapped in uncertainty. A man who enforces them moves forward. With or without her. The inner rule you must adopt. Here is the rule that changed everything for me. I do not stay where I am not respected, even if I am desired. Desire without respect is temporary. Respect without desire can grow. The Stoic man chooses long-term alignment over short-term validation. And that choice changes how the world responds to him. In part 4, we will confront the hardest truth of all. Detachment, why letting go is the most powerful position a man can take. Not emotionally numb, but internally free. Love is actually like a mirror reflecting the inner self. When we are calm enough, we will realize that every challenge, every silence carries a valuable lesson. And that is what I want to convey through each story on this channel. If you feel that these shares bring value, please leave a like to support the channel. And don't forget to subscribe, because who knows, one day, just a small idea from these videos can change the way you look at love, at yourself. Let's continue with me, because there are many interesting things waiting for you to discover. Part 4, Detachment, why letting go is the strongest position a man can take. Most men hear the word detachment and recoil. They imagine coldness, indifference, emotional withdrawal. That is not Stoic detachment. Stoic detachment is not the absence of feeling. It is the absence of fear-driven attachment. And that difference changes everything. Why attachment makes men weak. Attachment creates inner negotiation. You start bending your truth to preserve connection. You silence discomfort to avoid conflict. You tolerate uncertainty to avoid loss. Slowly, you shrink. Not because she demands it, but because you fear losing her more than losing yourself. And the moment a man fears loss more than misalignment, respect erodes. The Stoic understanding of letting go. Epictetus taught that freedom begins the moment you accept what is not yours to control. You do not control how someone feels, how long they stay, whether they choose you. Trying to control these things creates anxiety. Letting go creates power. The Stoic man does not cling to outcomes. He commits to conduct. He asks, am I acting in alignment with my values, regardless of the result? That question restores dignity. Detachment is inner stability. Detachment means your inner world remains stable, even when external circumstances shift. She pulls away. You remain centered. She becomes distant. You do not chase. She leaves. You grieve, but you do not beg. You feel the pain fully, without losing your spine. That is strength. Why letting go creates attraction. Here is a truth most men resist. Nothing attracts faster than a man who can lose you without losing himself. Detachment communicates emotional maturity, self-sufficiency, inner abundance. It says, I choose you, but I do not need you to survive. And that statement is deeply grounding. Women feel safer with men who are not emotionally hostage to outcomes. The difference between caring and clinging. Caring is open. Clinging is tight. Caring allows space. Clinging suffocates. A Stoic man cares deeply, but leaves space for freedom. He does not monitor. He does not interrogate. He does not demand reassurance. He trusts his presence is enough, and if it isn't, he lets go. Why men fear detachment? Men fear detachment because they confuse it with rejection. They believe, if I let go, I'll lose her. The truth is harsher, and more liberating. If holding on is the only thing keeping her, you've already lost. Detachment reveals reality faster. And reality, even when painful, is preferable to illusion. Detachment is not a tactic. This is important. Detachment is not used to provoke interest. It is not withdrawal to trigger pursuit. That is manipulation, and it backfires. Stoic detachment is internal. You let go of expectations, fantasies, the need to be chosen. You stay honest. You stay kind. You stay grounded. But you stop gripping. The power of accepting loss. Loss is inevitable. Every relationship ends, through distance, separation, or death. Most men live as if love should exempt them from this truth. Stoic men accept impermanence. And paradoxically, acceptance makes them more present. When you are no longer afraid of endings, you stop clinging to beginnings. You love better. You listen deeper. You stand firmer. How detachment changes your energy. A detached man moves slower. He speaks less. He observes more. His energy is not desperate. Not rushed. Not anxious. He is not trying to secure the future. He is rooted in the present. That presence is rare. And rarity attracts. The line you must never cross. Here is the internal line a Stoic man never crosses. I will not abandon my values to preserve connection. Once you internalize this, detachment becomes natural. You stop forcing. You stop chasing. You stop pleading. You let things unfold, or dissolve. And either way, you remain intact. In part 5, we will bring everything together. Respect over romance, how Stoic men become naturally chosen. Not through effort. Not through strategy. But through embodiment. Part 5, Respect over romance, how Stoic men become naturally chosen. There comes a moment in a man's life when he understands something most never do. Love is not something you win. Respect is something you embody. And when respect is present, love no longer needs to be chased. It arrives. Why romance without respect always fails? Romance can begin without respect. But it cannot last without it. Passion burns quickly. Chemistry fades. Excitement fluctuates. Respect is what remains when emotions settle. A man who builds his identity around being liked will always be unstable. A man who builds his life around principles becomes steady. And steadiness is irresistible. The Stoic priority, character over outcome. Marcus Aurelius wrote that a man's worth is measured by the quality of his character, not the opinions of others. Stoic men do not ask, "Did she choose me?" They ask, "Did I act with integrity?" That shift changes everything. When your focus is character, outcomes lose their grip. You stop performing. You stop proving. You stop chasing. You simply live. How Stoic men become naturally chosen. They don't advertise their values. They demonstrate them. They keep their word. Respect their time. Maintain physical discipline. Speak calmly. Walk away without resentment. Love without clinging. There is no urgency in their movements. No hunger in their tone. No fear in their silence. This creates a quiet gravity. People feel it. Why women lean toward men who don't lean toward them. This is uncomfortable for many men to accept. When you lean too much, you lose balance. When you stand firm, others adjust around you. A Stoic man does not seek attention. He generates presence. He does not center his life around romance. He allows romance to enter a life already in motion. That dynamic reverses the chase. The end of emotional negotiation. A man grounded in Stoic principles no longer negotiates emotionally. He does not say, "If I do more, maybe she'll stay. If I explain better, she'll understand. If I wait long enough, she'll choose me." He understands. People choose freely, or they don't. And freedom is the only soil where real desire grows. Respect is felt, not explained. You cannot argue someone into respecting you. You cannot convince someone of your worth. Respect emerges when your actions are aligned and consistent. A Stoic man does not demand it. He lives in a way that makes disrespect uncomfortable. And when disrespect appears, he leaves, quietly. That exit is powerful. Why peace is the ultimate attraction. Most men live in emotional chaos. They want love to rescue them from it. Stoic men build peace first. They develop routines. They sharpen their bodies. They discipline their minds. They cultivate solitude. When love arrives, it joins peace, not replaces it. And people are drawn to peace like travelers to water. The masculine ideal reclaimed. Strength is not dominance. It is self-mastery. Confidence is not loudness. It is calm certainty. Attraction is not manipulation. It is alignment. The Stoic man embodies these truths. And because he does, he is felt as safe, grounded, and rare. Rarity attracts. What happens when you stop chasing love? You stop losing yourself. You stop waiting. You stop shrinking. You become selective. You become present. You become whole. And then, almost without effort, people begin to respond differently. Not because you changed for them, but because you returned to yourself. The final principle. Here is the principle that ends the chase forever. I would rather walk alone with self-respect than be chosen without it. Once this becomes real to you, love stops being a battlefield. It becomes a meeting point. And when two grounded people meet, not from need, not from fear, but from choice, that is where real love begins. Conclusion. When a man finally stops chasing love, something profound happens, not outside of him, but within him. He no longer wakes up measuring his worth by attention. He no longer bends his truth to be chosen. He no longer trades dignity for temporary affection. Instead, he becomes still. And in that stillness, clarity emerges. Stoic love is not about rejecting connection. It is about refusing to abandon oneself in pursuit of it. The man who stops chasing love does not become cold or distant. He becomes anchored. He loves without desperation, desires without fear, and walks away without resentment. This is the quiet power that changes how the world responds to him. Respect does not come from effort alone. It comes from alignment, between values, actions, and inner state. When a man lives in alignment, people feel it. They trust it. They are drawn to it. Not because he demands attention, but because he no longer seeks it. The Stoic man understands a truth most never reach. Love that must be chased is not love worth keeping. Love that arrives through respect is the only kind that endures. So he builds his life first. He disciplines his mind. He strengthens his body. He guards his peace. And when love enters his life, it does so as a companion, not a rescue. This is the end of emotional hunger. The end of self-betrayal. The end of the chase. And it is the beginning of something far more powerful. A man who chooses himself. And is chosen, naturally, because of it. Thank you for watching the whole video. I hope that today's sharing about love will bring you new perspectives and help you gain valuable lessons. If you find the video useful, don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel and share it with your loved ones. I am very grateful for your companionship, and hope that each video will help you get closer to a happy and lasting love. See you in the next videos. Wish you a wonderful and inspired day.